Hello, adventurers! I filmed this video in June and meant to get it out to you all to enjoy in August. However, I moved the first week of August, and editing this video fell to the wayside compared to the amount of work fixing up the new place has been. As you can see at the time of recording this intro, I am still working on finishing my space for filming. I filmed this video on my phone, so the footage is set at weird angles in some of it. That being said, I'm really excited for this video and the second part to come out. I love to tie-dye. I've been doing it since I was really little and wanted to share the process with you. My mom has a bachelor's of science in the arts. It's a broad area art degree and is a professional textile artist, specifically tie-dye, and I asked her if she would explain the tie-dye process to everyone. If you're still with me, let's tie-dye some stuff. All right. Hi.
Hi.
This is my mom, Susan. She is a professional tie-dyer. Her business is Pigment Paradise. You can see her on YouTube. Not YouTube, Instagram. She has an account there, and she shows what she's working on while she's working on it. And Dyson has decided he now has to sit by our feet.
On Instagram, it's tie_dye_Sue. Facebook, I have a business page, pigmentparadise.art.
Mm-hmm.
All one word.
Yeah.
All right. So I do not have a box to show, but if you are using those kits from Michael's or the craft store or wherever you might pick one up, those dyes have everything in them to dye, technically.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of mix things together and don't have enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the process is a little out of order, so it causes some issues with getting those colors that you really want to get them to pop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into the laundry detergent aisle, and it's usually on the bottom shelf, you'll find a large Arm & Hammered box, like your Arm & Hammered baking soda, only it's a large box. Mm-hmm. It'll be like I haven't bought one in a while, so the last time it was like $3.50 for the box. Mm-hmm. Probably $5 now, who knows. I buy mine from the pool store, so this is washing soda.
Yeah.
Also known as soda ash. If you have a swimming pool, it's your pH up. Mm-hmm. All the same stuff. It's sodium bicarbonate. So you're going to take that, pick up a box along with your kit, and then pre-wash your shirts, and then put them in a bucket of a gallon of water to 1.5 cups of that washing soda, and let it soak for a minimum of 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Best if you take it out and dry them on the clothesline, toss them over the fence, whatever, let them fully dry, because when they're dry, it is going to absorb more color. So what that soda ash does is it opens up the fibers to accept the dye.
It's kind of like a mordant?
It's kind of like a mordant, only it's a little bit different because it's actually opening up your natural fibers to absorb the dye. Yeah. Otherwise, they're closed. Yeah. So it's like opening up the flower and then filling the flower with honey.
Okay.
Kind of that situation. So you want to soak that for a minimum of 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Best if you let it dry. You can do it wet, but then you've got water sitting in the fibers. So think of your fibers as a parking lot. And you can only park one car in each parking space. So if there's water there, the dye is going to move on and try and find the next available space.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. And then we always want to make sure that you're using a natural fiber for that type of dye. So no polyester. You want 100% cotton shirts. No less than... I've done less than 80%, but you're going to want an 80% cotton or better to get really good colors.
Mm-hmm.
Linen, hemp, bamboo, viscose, modal, rayon. Those are all natural fibers, and those are what those Procyon dyes will bind with. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you're using those.
All right. What are we going to use today?
Today we're going to do towels.
Yeah.
100% cotton towels.
Yes.
And these have been washed in the washer already. They've already been soaked in our soda ash. These happen to soak for about a week and a half because I just leave it down there. And then I put it in the washing machine on spin without water because I have an old washing machine. It doesn't add water or spray water during the spin cycle. If it does, you don't want to do that. Then just hand wring it out and let it dry. So this morning I spun it out in my old washing machine, and then I put it in the dryer and dried them. You want to make sure that if you're doing that, that you are home. Some people say never put it in the dryer because your dryer will catch on fire. I'm very diligent about making sure that I check my lint in my hose going out, my exhaust venting, to make sure we vacuum that out a couple of times a year to make sure that I don't have a buildup in there. Because the soda ash is flammable. So you want to make sure that you're going to be home and that you're not over drying it, but you can dry it. You can also throw it on the clothesline. It's raining today.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been raining, I probably would have thrown it on the line.
And you can tell soda ash makes your clothes kind of crunchy.
Yep. So I can feel it in the fiber. It has gives it a stiff feel.
Kind of powdery feel.
Probably want to use rubber gloves.
Yes. Technically, we should be using rubber gloves.
Yes, I should have rubber gloves on right now. I used rubber gloves taking it out of the soda ash. What kind of a pattern are you looking for?
Well, my other ones are kind of just clumped, so maybe kind of more like a spine pattern.
Okay. So this is a spine pattern that she has on. So this, where you see the pink going down and around, that's a spine.
Yep.
So that's what I call a spine pattern. It's technically a pleated design. Outside, we bark outside. There we go. All right. So distraction away. So we're going to pleat these. You're going to pleat them up and down or across or diagonal. If we do diagonal, then we can roll them into a circle at the end, and then your color will be not necessarily just in a line like that.
Yep.
It'll give you a different pattern.
Cool.
I did one set of Daria's towels like that.
Cool.
And you have 2 sets here.
Ooh, wonderful.
If you're gonna do them, if you're gonna roll it, I would do corner to corner for your first, and then you're gonna go back and forth.
Okay.
So
Okay, there we go.
All right, so we folded this. The first fold is from opposite corner to opposite corner going the long way. So now you're just gonna do your gathers. I would say probably like a 2 to 3 inch.
All right.
Just because of the
mass.
thickness of the, And we don't have to be real exact. You're really narrow on your end, which is fine. You can do that, but it's gonna give you a
less color on this end than there is on that end, correct?
No, you'll actually get more color on the shallower end because there will be more color.
Because will be more color in the dye.
There will be less fiber to absorb it.
That is what I meant to say. And we use ice for this, or you use ice for this.
I use ice for this.
We are ice or snow dyeing. We don't do we're not doing the water bottle dye. That's not what we're called. But
liquid. I don't do very much liquid dye.
Right.
Okay, you want to grab that end?
Yep.
We're going to flip it. Now most of the folding is going to be on your end.
We did a lot of liquid dye when I was little.
Yes, we did.
So now I do...
You're just going to line it up with your edge. And we're going to do it again. Okay, ready? And again.
So you make mandalas and you make hearts.
I do.
What's the hardest thing to do?
It really depends on the blank.
And a blank is a piece of fabric that you haven't dyed yet.
Correct. It depends on the thickness of the fiber, how stiff it is. A fiber that is Like a bandana is very thin and very pliable, so I can make really detailed folds with it. Doing a mandala on this, you're not going to get the detail that you would get on a bandana. Okay, so now you can start on your end. It looks like it forced you to come to my reckoning.
Yeah, it did.
And then I would just roll that up, and we'll assist, and we'll get out a binder, and we'll put a couple rubber bands around it. I think I've got a couple bicycle rubber bands.
Okay. Those are the big ones, right?
Yeah, they're, I call them bicycle because when my husband used to put together bikes, some of the parts came with this big rubber band, and that's where the rubber band comes from, is from when he was assembling bikes. He'd bring me these great big huge giant rubber bands. Okay, so you got a big donut. We're gonna open this up. Oh, the drawer below. And we're looking for the big blue.
Yes, the big ones.
So this is what I mean by a bike rubber band. I don't know what it was rubber banding on the bike, but the parts maybe, the steering wheel, I have no idea. All I know is it was part of the packaging for the bikes that he assembled. And we're just gonna put that around the outside. You can use regular rubber bands. It's just that I have these big ones and they're quick and easy to use.
Cool.
All right, so that's your first one. We need a hand towel. We're gonna set that one aside. You do this one.
All right, so we fold.
Oh, you know what? I want to cut the tag off of it. I just put away everything so I can't find anything.
Well, you did just have a show this week, so.
Yes. If you see me at a show, you'll probably see me folding things, or I'll have things out to fold unless I run out like I did yesterday. I'm always working to make sure I have stuff for the next show.
Yes, and someone asked you why you weren't at the state fair.
I cannot physically create enough things in a year to be at the state fair. I'd run out of stuff.
First day, probably.
I don't know about the first day, but I'd probably run out before the end of the fair. And that would be disappointing. Okay, you're going to flip it. There you go.
So your shirt you're wearing is a resist dye, correct?
It's it started out black, and I did a discharge dye.
Okay.
People many times will use bleach. You can use bleach, but you have to make sure you neutralize your bleach at the end. Otherwise, bleach continues eating the fibers and will continue eating the fibers even after you've washed it.
And how do you neutralize bleach?
You neutralize bleach with hydrogen peroxide, 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 10 parts water, and you soak it after you've bleached it, and it stops the bleach from continuing to eat your fiber. But even then, bleach, as part of the process of bleaching, it damages your fiber, so it shortens the life of your shirt. So if you want to do that project, I would recommend, hold it, I gotta think of where I've got it.
The downstairs.
This is what happens when you reorganize. Okay,
It
so
is downstairs.
instead of using bleach, you can find this in your grocery aisle, in your laundry detergent aisle. It's Outright Bright. This will not damage your fibers. So to get the best results with this, I have found that if you sprinkle some in the bottom of either a glass or a enamel pot, one you're not going to cook with in the future.
It will be your dyeing pot.
It'll be your dyeing pot. And I have a dyeing pot that's
Older
I've been
than
using.
me.
Yes, it is older than you. That I use. I use some old enamel pots that probably were used for canning years and years and years ago. I bought them in the canning aisle specifically for dyeing. You want to use a wooden spoon. You don't want to use any metal utensils. So what I do is I sprinkle this across the bottom of the pan. I have my item already tied.
Yep.
preferably laundered once again. You want to have it laundered first.
But make sure there's no excess oils in it or anything?
It removes any oils or any, so some manufacturers will spray the item so that it doesn't pick up dust and dirt and whatever in the, so it like seals the fibers.
Yeah.
So if it's sealed the fibers, then we're going to have problems when we're trying to put something into the fibers. So you always want to pre-wash your items no matter what you're doing with them. Even if you're like sewing a dress, you want to pre-wash your fibers so that you're making sure that all of that chemicals that they might have put on there during the processing have been removed. So you're going to grab your Outright Bright, sprinkle this on the bottom of your enamel or glass bowl or pot. Then take some boiling water, pour some boiling water, not very much, you only need like that much. And then with your gloves on, you're going to set your item in the Outright Bright. And it's kind of a process. You have to kind of figure out how much is really being removed. I'm still struggling with that because it's a process I've just started doing in the last year. I've ended up redoing some shirts a couple of times.
Is this one you redid?
Nope, this one is a one-timer. It's got a lot of black on it, so you have to determine whether or not you've removed enough color.
Okay.
There's a few shirts I've done a second time because I wasn't happy with them the first time. You can flip it over and remove the color on both sides.
Do you want your fabric to be wet?
Dry.
Dry, okay.
Yep, so it's actually absorbing this and it's pulling the color out, and the liquid at the bottom will turn yellow.
Okay.
When it turns like a bright orangish color, you're gonna want to dump that out, rinse out your dish, put in some more of this, some more boiling water if you want to still remove some more color.
Okay.
I caution you because shirts, you would think if you're removing color from a black shirt that you're going to get what color?
You think you're going to get white, but you're not. You're going to get gray, right?
Sometimes you get gray, sometimes you get yellow, sometimes you get orange.
It depends on the fiber color, right?
It depends on what colors the black is made of.
Okay.
Because black is all colors mixed together.
That's why when you're wearing black clothes and clothes you've worn a lot and you've washed them a lot, they all look different colors of black or different shades of black.
Correct. Because the base color of the black dye can be different from one manufacturer to another, and even from one batch to another. Because I've ordered black shirts from the same company and the same style shirt, and I have had some of them have kind of a yellowish gray color at the end, and I've had some have an orange color. So don't let that worry you. That's remove as much color as you can, but you may end up with it having an orange hue to it, and it's just because was the base, the prominent color in that black, and your fiber might not let go of it. Then you just have to adjust your dye colors because you've got that orange undertone. You have to keep in mind your color wheel. Your complementary colors, the colors that are across the wheel from each other, are going to make brown. So if you put blue on top of that, it's going to give you kind of a muddy blue color. So this one was probably more yellow. If you look at the yellows, it's got really nice yellow colors in it. So here under my arm, it's a place I can actually touch and not be getting you in trouble. So the yellows,
yellow and the orange look really nice.
And I don't know if I put green in this. That green very well could be blue.
Was it the raspberry that split, or what? Did you put raspberry in this one?
I don't know. Who knows? When we get to my dye drawer, you'll know why. I have no idea what I use. So anyway, this, and then after you've removed the color, run water through it until it stops
bleeding color.
I usually will then soak it in some Dawn dish soap and some hot water, and make sure that all the excess is out. Then you want to make sure it dries completely. Then, well, I guess you don't have to let it dry completely. You can put it into your soda ash, soak it. If there's any color left in, your soda ash is going to turn funky colors. That is okay. And then when it comes out, you want your soda ash. You'll probably have to leave that item someplace dry. In Minnesota, it can take up to a week to dry because of the humidity during the summer. During the winter, it's not as bad because it's dry in our houses, and that pulls out. This you're going to want to use outside or in a well-ventilated room. So with
And wear a
windows
face
open
mask.
and wear a face mask. Windows open and the range fan running to suck the fumes out if you're doing it in the house. First time I did this, I just about gassed myself out of the house. I didn't realize that how bad it was smelling in the house.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the middle of the winter. I figured it out when I went outside and came back in. So make sure you're doing that in a well-ventilated area so you're not killing yourself or your lungs. All right. You have a towel to do yet?
Yes.
All right, so you got one more to do there.
Yep.
I'll get us a tray while you fold that.
All right.
You can fold that.
I know how to do it now.
You do.
Is this kind of how I did that one arrow on my shirt? My tie-dye shirt that I did in organic chemistry in high school?
I don't know.
I accordion folded it, and then I've folded it in half in a fan shape.
I don't know.
I have no idea how I did that.
I don't know how to do. You're asking me. Sometimes I can't figure out. People will go, can you make me one of these? And I look at it and go, I don't know how I fold that. Some things it's easy for me to tell what I've done. Other things.
So when you're doing really intricate designs, what do you use? Do you use rubber bands always?
Oh no, I use an artificial sinew. Sinew is a tendon from deer, but I use an artificial sinew it's a synthetic string that's been coated in wax.
So it's kind of like a
So-
synthetic whalebone for making corsets with.
Here, I'll pull this out. So this one here is wide. This one sticks to itself really well. So when I'm doing really intricate designs, I'll use this one.
And then we got this one.
That one is a braided cord. It's a thin braided cord and it's waxed, but doesn't have in my opinion, enough wax to really stick to itself well. People who bead use this one. This one has multiple strings. So people who do really fine beading will pull this apart and use individual strands. It's very strong. I haven't broken this one.
You broken this one?
This one I've broken a few times and smacked myself and it hurts. Just in case you're wondering. And I just roll them onto dowel pins
All right.
that I have cut. So in here, I have a tray that's elevated inside my tray. And I do that because then the water drips through. You can also do what's called muck dyeing. And it's literally exactly like it sounds. You set things in the bottom, you put your dye in, and the dye flows through, and your items are sitting in the muck in the bottom.
All right.
And there is no right or wrong way. Muck dyeing is actually quite fun because you have this black colored dye that you're pulling things out of at the end. And
You never know what it's going to look like.
You're not sure what you're going to get. It gives the color the most opportunity to split as it's really pulling through. And sometimes when I muck dye, I'll put dye on the bottom. So when that moisture hits that, then it's dyeing from the bottom up also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is what it looks like. And you are grabbing...
I am grabbing, these are tag board. You guys call it poster board. It's changed names over the years. And I am going to basically build an ice dam around the items so that the ice will stay where I want it. So I'm basically making the hockey boards for a hockey rink. I guess is how I would.
So everything stays where you want it to stay.
So everything stays and I don't lose my ice. Nothing worse than losing the ice.
And you want... What color do you want?
I don't know. It's your sheet, your towels.
No, I meant for... If you're doing this, do you want clothespins that are... You said earlier that you don't want black clothespins.
Oh, the reason I don't want those black clothespins is if you look, do you see how they're not coming together anymore at the
Yeah.
end? That's because they've warped.
Ah, okay.
So I want the clean clothespins for these because then they will actually hold what I'm trying to hold. And I'm just going to keep making it tighter until it's staying where I want it.
All right.
Swing it around. We're going to do another one here.
So what's the difference between liquid dyeing and ice dyeing? You keep saying the word split. I know what you mean, but does splitting happen with liquid colors?
Not generally. Generally, it's all mixed together, and because you've made the color from the powder, you get the color that's on the container.
Okay.
When I use ice, it allows the color to disassociate back into its colors that it was made from. So it gives the colors the opportunity to break down back into their base colors. So you get this wonderful watercolory look from it as it breaks down and goes back to those base colors.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
The world of color.
Look at that.